Alright, folks, welcome back to the Bearded Beer Pod, your monthly sip of craft chaos, curious conversations, and the kind of pub chat that could go on for hours if somebody didn't call last orders. And I realise it's the fucking middle of April. I've got no, well, I have an excuse, but you don't need to know. But yeah, March 25. What a month. I was down south for a wee jaunt to Bristol. Never made it to Froome because I'm a drunken idiot. And if you've never been to King Street in Bristol, you're missing out. It is like a holy grail of pubs and stuff. They've got centuries old pubs sitting shoulder to shoulder with sort of buzzing tap rooms, all spilling out into the cobbles, and they've got big benches up the middle there. Smashing. They kind of soak up more ale than Weatherspoons on a Friday night down that street. Where did I go? I went to 0 Degrees and had a pint so fresh it practically introduced itself. It came about 8 metres from the thing where it was brewed. Yeah, shout out to the local legends pouring magic beer down there. Yeah, March wasn't all pints and good times, I'm afraid. A proper emotional roller coaster for me. Worked through a curveball, wasn't quite ready for it. Came close to being made redundant. That kind of uncertainty, especially after years of graft, really gets under your skin. It really does make you take stock. Yeah, if that wasn't enough, I've been carrying the weight of a friendship that's come to an unexpected end. Someone I'd shared quite a few years of stories and loyalty with, just gone. Still figuring out how to feel about that, if I'm honest. Yeah, yeah, that's life, isn't it? One moment you're raising a glass in a buzzing Bristol bar, the next you're nursing something a little bit heavier. But we keep going, we talk about it, and if we're lucky, we find a nice community in the places we least expect. So, yeah, March's pod, a bit of a mix. A couple of great beers, a few big thoughts, and as always, some solid banter. So let's crack on. So my first stop on my whistle top, that's something different. I'm so tired. First stop on my whistle stop tour of the Watering Holes of Bristol was Little Martha Brewing. I was in a tunnel, and they treated me to a very wet session IPA named Hallerbit, I think it said. I'm not going to read out the next bit because I'm not going down that route. It was a cool wee brewery in the arches of the railway tunnel, and I was going to try and sneak onto the brewery tour, but I was told not to and behave myself. And I gave that a 4.5. Nice. Made it along the road to Left-Handed Giant at lunchtime and had an 8% double IPA. Yeah, par for the course for me, I know. Tall Trees definitely was a danger beer. Smelled strong and it tasted strong. And it was one of these ones that could have turned things into a very short day. And I give that 4.75. Made it to King Street after that. Yeah, I was drinking halves. Deal with it. I wouldn't have made it the whole day. So I had Seeing Double from King Street Brewhouse, and it was a bit of a plain double IPA, all be told. But, enjoyed it still. Up the wee road a bit, and we went to Kongs of King Street, which I had a good giggle about. I had a Dia brewery pint in there, half pint, called King Croc. It was really disappointing, really. Looked like piss, tasted like piss, and normally I'm in for that, but it wasn't in a good way. Absolutely gutted. And I give that 2.75, sadly. I forget where we went next. Who knows? I think I Dreamt This was my next one. It was thick and creamy and chewy, and you could probably cure my AIDS. I didn't put a score for that because I forgot to put it on Untapped. Meh. Next up, Resonance from Moore. It's very tasty. And I'm so glad I didn't spill any of it. I spilled some of it. 4.25 on Untapped. So you may have seen it on the beer blog. I was invited down to 0 Degrees in Bristol for a behind the scenes tour and tasting. You can see the vlog up on the YouTube channel, which I'll link in the show notes. Basically, it's about 40 minutes or so, just start to finish, uncut, in a big one big shot. Not as dramatic as Adolescence, but there's more beer in it. So there we go. Yeah, I explored the Pyrenean Brew Pub. It's known for its fresh, unfiltered beers brewed on site. From the brewing process to guided tasting of their core range and seasonal specials. I dove into what makes 0 Degrees a staple of the UK craft beer scene. Yeah, if you love great beer, microbreweries, unique brewing setups, this one's for you. And after that, I stuck up the Bristol vlog. So it was a weekend of craft beer chaos and questionable life choices. I am fucking sticking by that. If anybody gets upset, take a fucking ticket. From exploring the city's incredible beer scene to meeting some truly amazing people, getting slightly worse for wear in the process, if I'm honest. This trip had it all. I had to do the international signal for fucking help when I was getting chatted up by some dude in the Griffin. Yeah, he was sent on his merry way. He wasn't happy. Also met Biohazard, which was fun. Next. Yeah, so this vlog, yeah, join me as I check out some of Bristol's best breweries, sample some top-notch pints, and fully embrace the shenanigans. Great beer, good laughs, and there was I've written down it's a slightly hungover conclusion, but no, it's a very hungover conclusion. So it's now time to unwind with a Siren session IPA by the name of Lumina. I had a big glug and I could feel the tension just draining out of me, washed away by the lemony, crisp and yeasty goodness of this beer. It's like getting pissed on by a Lemberg. And yeah, yet again, I didn't put it in Untapped. Soz, not soz. This was part of the mystery box I got from Siren, which is also on YouTube, the unboxing. So again, I'll link to that in the show notes. Next up, Otherworld Brewing, killing it, not just with the art, but with the taste of their hazy pale ale, Styrian Dragon. If you've ever had your tongue sucked on in a tap room by a craft beer soaked womble, then you'll know exactly how good this tastes. That was a 4.5. What's next? Another Siren. Futurist Session IPA. It was the nuts. At the time, I was full of custard donuts, and I was dehydrated after an afternoon of strangling my Cyclops. So it was most refreshing, and kind of put a spring back in my step, if I'm honest. 4.75 Untapped. Here we go. Aslan Beer Company, yes. But I admit I only bought this double IPA because it was called Double Orange Starfish, which made me giggle. I was pleased to report it was like getting a flat-footed punt to the arsehole from Andrew the Giant, but tastier. And I gave that 5.85. So it was the last of my Sheldon Brewery beers from those crazy Dutch bastards. And it just basically blew my liveacorn off. It was their Tropic Triple Hop Brewter. It's sharper than a hedgehog's nips on a frosty morning. And I'm not going to read the rest of it because I've fucking changed my mind. Get over it. Again, any complaints, take a number. And it was also in the lovely glass that Bruno from 0 Degrees gave me in Bristol. And I put a wee smiley face emoji. Oh, 4.75 on Untapped for that bastard. Oh yes. I went to see my doc. She told me I was just a little bit stressed. Um, I was like, read my notes, love. Yeah, so still spinning like my head from Siren. It's an IPA, and it smelled like mango, looked like lager, but it tasted like an adventure. Lordy, I'm in. That was 4.75 on Untapped. Um, Next, now I picked this Weekend Project brew up because I loved the artwork and I also love Weekend Project. Foggy Ridge was a New England IPA and it was on the swarthy holiday lover side of things, especially as it plopped a chunk of beer spaff the size of a 50 pence piece into my glass as I poured it out. I've had burst in my mouth, to be honest, and I give that 4.25. Another Siren brew. Yeah. I know I've got the big box to get through. It was an IPA, Don't Hold Back. It was super tasty and only 6%. So I definitely wouldn't hold back in this bad boy if I had a fuck ton of them. 4.5 right in the nose. So, what is behind door number 3? It's only a double IPA from Pressure Drop, and it blew my bollocks off. Mighty tasting beer that really straightened my pubes. So much so that I didn't put it on Untapped. I imagine I would give it a 5 or some shit like that. You know me. Absolutely shit every day. And I didn't really know how much left I had in the tank. So I had a real Ian Brady of a street waffle from Molin Beer. Calmed me down a lot because it was fucking 9%. Let's see what ended up. It's a 9% Jolly Jaunt in the Moors, but with a most pleasant ending. That made me giggle. 4.25 on Untapped. Yep. Now, I found a vocation double IPA in Tesco that I hadn't had before. It was called Incognito, and it was very tasty. It really helped sort of calm things down in my bloody napper. I was thinking perhaps I needed some time away from work. Who knows? Yeah, I was just very confused about certain things. If you know, you know. Hashtag and all that shit. 4.5 on Untapped. Now, here we go. As Marty Pangolin would say, it's time for some thought of a change. And I had William Brothers Mental Ginger Alcoholic Ginger Beer. It was Reet Proper Bowl, but I thought I could have done with a little bit of an extra ginger bite, if you know what I mean. A little bit more. A little bit more of that. You can't actually see what I'm doing. You can just hear it. For fuck's sake, gee, just crack on with the reviews. You're 2.5 weeks late already. Anyway, I'd have it again. Well, that was 4 right in the nose. So I'm absolutely loving Bullhouse at the moment, and their hazy pale ale Deadball reminded me of a lad at school. It an accident in PE, but this tastes a bit more like a melony hazy than a lost testicle. And that was 4.5. I was pissed when I wrote that one. I went to a gig at Banshee, drank a fuck ton of Red Stripe, mainly because I mind swept it all. And I was fucking roasting. But good job, Flock had Magic Spiral Pale Ale to cool me down. It was dead good, but it was too hot. And I brought the can home with me to put in my really bender scrapbook, but there we go. Not the can, the label, I mean. That'd be stupid, putting a can in. I've been taking the labels off the cans that I like and keeping them because I'm really fucking sad. But we know that. We all get through stuff in our different ways. Anyway, 4.75. The day after that, I went to Crafty in Kirkcaldy with my pal Mark. I had West Coast IPA from Wasted Degrees. It was dead good. I've had it before, but I had some again. Oh yes, guest reviewer, my pal Mark. I forgot to get him to actually speak this for me. So I'm just going to read it out. He says, "See these hells when you drink it? It's like drinking water, but the aftertaste is like that time I had to be rescued from Cub Camp. But this came with a happy ending, thanks to Cub Leader." What? I gave that 4 on the nose. Oh god, I was pissed when I wrote this one as well. So this is a King Meal Belgian Pale Ale that tastes of tambourines, apparently. How they know what that tastes like is anyone's guess, but it's wet and sexy, so I'm in. I'm guessing I meant tangerines, but I had a few. Oh, hi. Hold on, this is 3.75. I'll tell you about the guy that came in to Crafty. It was bananas. So he came in and he had his dog with him, and we chat behind the bar. "Do you want some water for your dog and some like biscuits and shit?" And the guy goes, "That'd be lovely, thanks very much." So he's sitting down, he's drinking away, and me and my pal Mark are having a chat, setting the world to rights. And then all we hear is and this splattering noise. And we look up, and the guy's sitting there with his pint glass, leaning back in his chair, and he goes, "My dog's been sick on the floor." To the man behind the bar, and he got the guy behind the bar to go and clean up his dog's sick. And he's going, he does that when he drinks cold water. I don't give him cold water. It's like, fucking, why didn't you just say that? And like, why? Anyway, that was the end of that week. And we're nearly there, nearly at the end of March. Yeah, so some weeks hit harder than others, and that last week in March, I think it's one of the hardest. Sudden loss of a really close friendship left me really struggling to process and understand what actually happened. Weight I did not see coming, and it still sits really heavy with me. Grief doesn't just come from losing people to death. It comes from losing them in life too. It comes from unanswered questions, from moments that now feel a wee bit hollow. From the space someone once filled that's now just empty. I still don't have the right words or the right way to make sense of it all. I just know that it really, really hurts. But if you've ever felt like this, if you've ever lost someone you thought would always be there, know that you're not alone. And I know that I'm not either. But here's to moving forward one day at a time. But anyway, I was thankful to have Campervan on my doorstep, and their New England IPA Vermont Hills is a tastily light and fluffy beer. It's trying its best to lift my spirits. And it got me wondering what it's like straight from the old bevy nipple. 4.5 for that fella. This next one. Yeah. Making me feel more attacked than the stream of text I had on Monday. Moving swiftly on. Is Pentrich Brewery's IPA got any IPAs, pal? It's like my rallying cry. It was a nice, robust tinny, but had a bit too much foreskin fromage for it for my liking. Yeah, it's a little bit sedimenty. That was 4.5 and Untapped. That was it. So that was March done. And I realise it's the middle of April now when I'm recording this, but tough noogies. I've got there in the end, and that is the main thing. But here's the thing. I've been a bit shit at keeping everything joined up in March. Far too much going on in my head. What starts on Instagram never quite made it to Untapped, and what started on Untapped maybe never made it to Instagram. By the time I remember to sort it out, write something clever, moment's gone. 3 pints down into the next thing. So if you're wondering where the full thoughts and all that shite have ended up, they're all over the place. Mainly on the Bearded Beer blog on Instagram. It's where the waffle froze? I don't throw anything. Oh my god. It's where the waffle flows as freely as the beer. Mostly nothing gets lost in the scroll. But yeah, join me there. Chat's warm, pints are cold. And I occasionally sound like I know what I'm talking about over there. And that's it. Links down in the show notes. Thanks so much for your patience and putting up with my crap. Do remember you're never alone. I am always here if you need to talk about anything at all. And until then, take care of yourselves, everybody. And, well, I'll probably see you in 2 weeks for the April edition of the podcast. Cheery bye.